For scenario 4, you can run into two different scenarios where it derives the ideas from the Pierce and the Modern instead of the King's Indian Defense. What happens if you play your normal King's Indian structure, but then your opponent plays this? There are two different scenarios that you can run into here. But obviously in both cases, you just form your fianchetto, you form this, because your opponent plays e5. As soon as your opponent plays e5, remember to react with d3, by the way. One scenario you're going to run into is bishop e6, which is basically what is essentially a 150 defense. Or you can run into something along the lines of a 150, no, not 150, an Austrian attack defense, an Austrian defense, which is basically this. There are these two scenarios that you can run into. Against this, first thing you do is you castle, and then he'll try to go queen here. And then against this, you just strike. Just strike immediately. I mean, you could go d4, but it's like the whole course is just gonna be inconsistent. So I'm just going to recommend e4 here. Against e4, the usual scenario that he'll play is he'll just castle queenside. Again, very much in the style of the 150 attack here. Against this is the one scenario where you actually don't push your pawn or actually try to like develop like we normally would, as we saw in the bayonet defense example in chapter 1, not chapter 1, scenario 1. In this case, we actually take. And then he'll definitely take with the bishop, and then you just go rook e1. And then he goes f6. Knight to c3, very much in the style of the Mar del Plata, but again, you're attacking that bishop over there, and then the bishop has to move. Bishop e6 is the usual scenario, and then you go d4. And then he takes. Knight to b5. Knight ge7, and then bishop f4. Hello? This is what your opponent is up against. Knight d5 is the usual scenario from here. And then you just sacrifice your rook. Yeah, this is the best case scenario for you if you play the King's Indian attack. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. You sacrifice your rook. And then you take that pawn. You did that just to take a pawn. And then he takes your bishop. And then, oh, he sacrificed his queen. Rook takes d1 check. Rook takes d1. Oh my gosh, we're already in an endgame. Well, good luck fighting that. Oh gosh. Against the Austrian defense, your main line here is c4. Now I'm going to attack on the queen side. D takes and castles. Bishop d6. Knight bd2. And takes and takes. And then bishop e6. Rook e1. Knight g7. A little symmetrical going on here. Knight to takes e5. And then bishop takes. And then knight to f3. And then he'll castle. And then you take that bishop. And then what happens if he takes? Rook takes. Queen d7. You should be winning here. And then if he doesn't take, what happens if he just goes this way? You have bishop g5. Pin that knight to the queen. Bishop takes g2, you take back. Queen d5 check. Queen to f3, takes. And you're already in an endgame. Good luck with that. Well, hey, at least you're up a bishop. But yeah, in the next scenario, we're going to cover what happens if you're up against the Khan playing the King's Indian attack. Okay, have fun.